morning. Morning. Morning to anyone who hasn't already said morning to me on the live stream this morning. Morning. I did the 40% keyboard review, or keyboard layout, where I go over my personal layout. Very personal. It's available on my Patreon. You have to subscribe. Gold Star plus super members receive advanced warning of, I don't know. It's on YouTube. And as far as I know, it's made public with the correct name, even though YouTube live streaming seems to be there's just lots of problems that were happening with it, and it was very strange. And it selected a different title than the one that I reselected for it after it selected a different title the first time. I don't know. It's it is concerning. You're downloading your YouTube videos, right? YouTube DL is illegal, but it's actually, you can still find it. Highly recommend. Excuse me. So going over the 40% layout wasn't as bad as I had remembered. I had a 50th anniversary Plico layout video where I went over all the things and my thoughts on the things, the layout buttons. Goodness, excuse me. I need to drink something to soothe my throat. How about some coffee? Science. So I felt like that video took forever. I might have been explaining more in that video, but this one I don't think took that long. I'll have to actually check the time, because you talk about keyboards and you're just time just vanishes. But that is it's not intended as a requirement or as an achievement or as something to strive for. It's just what my insane layout is, and by sharing it, I hope that you all can pick up something, pick up some tips or some tricks or something that you can apply, or realize that I'm doing something wrong and drop me a comment that says, hey, why don't you try this? Because I'll probably try it if I haven't already tried it. I changed that keyboard layout a lot, ridiculously. It's actually something that is not normal about me and my operation of my keyboards. So don't try to be like me unless it just comes naturally, because otherwise it's very abnormal. People generally don't change their keyboard layouts. They just don't. They just deal with it. But people generally don't improve. And that's they get comfort. They get comfort. They get comfortable, and they see no need to improve. And that was like, let's see, I don't remember that. What was that from? That was from a few years ago, where it was talking about constant improvement. I was listening to a self-help video or something like that, or audiobook, and it was talking about figuring out improvements for your whatever your work function is, whatever your career is. And I started just taking typing tests and just doing a typing test every day or something like that. And there's improvement. Like, you don't think there will be. You don't think it'll be significant. You don't think it'll make a difference, but you also kind of feel better about it. It's like, it's like going to the gym. You're working on stuff. You're improving stuff. You're making progress. You're not just stagnant. So something like that, where you get a chance to look at what you're doing and say, how could I be doing this better? What easy things can I do to make this better, or what difficult things can I do to make this better? And improving things, like, that's what I mean. People don't usually improve. They just kind of chill, especially about work stuff. And that's what bugs me, because people think work is like a means to an end and not something to be improved or reduced or eliminated or taken over with something else. It's like, well, I'm working for this guy, and the guy wants me to move these things around an Excel spreadsheet for the rest of time. And people are like, okay, I'm okay with that. Like, well, I got my paycheck, and I clicked 27,000 times today, but it's a living. No, that sucks. Make it better. At least make it so that you have to click less. I would have said automate it and then tell your boss, hey, I automated it. Have a nice day. Give me something new to do. But now I would say automate it and don't tell your boss. Boss, you are paying me for X amount of work. Well, guess what? X amount of work is being accomplished. Are you happy? Yes. Okay. Why don't you give me a 2X amount of work and I'll accomplish that too. And then he'll be extra happy. But you still automated the whole dang thing, so it doesn't matter anyways. I say this as someone who has automated himself out of multiple jobs. This guy. You gotta be a genius to be that stupid. Oh, man. Although, to be fair, I think most of those bosses are out of work by now. The whole thing got reduced anyway, so, The point is, wherever you go, you're bringing yourself. I know, it's exciting, right? The product is you. You are selling the product, and the product is you. And the question is that product getting better or not? When you show up to a job interview and they say, wow, what have you been doing? And well, I've been moving numbers around an Excel spreadsheet for the past decade. And they're like, wow, what have you done recently? Like, nothing. Did I mention the Excel spreadsheet thing? Really good at that, by the way. 10 years. Being able to add something to that, or being able to say, well, I automated it so that I could handle more work, or something like that. There's just little bits of improvement to be found everywhere. And the question is, what do you want to do? Do you want to be stagnant, or do you want to be improving, making things better? And this is this is kind of like if you're a writer and you're typing on your keyboard and you primarily just use all your writing is prose, and all you use is A through Z, plus the space bar and the enter key. Keyboard improvement is probably not what you need. Automation is probably not what you need. Although, given my previous experience, or recent experience, you might be able to try out some shorthand and see if that improves things. Typing shorthand words and then having those words change into the full word. Just helping you to get stuff out of your brain faster. So that is a mechanical or an electronic improvement to what your creative process is. But it is entirely possible that when you speed up that mechanical process or electronic process, that you realize that you kind of not savored, but perhaps needed the time of typing out the word. Like you get those few extra dozen milliseconds to think about the rest of the sentence. So it's about workflow. It's about what workflow is optimal for you. It's about improving what can be improved, shortening what can be shortened, and finding things that, in my many keyboard modifications, I came across modifications that I said, this works, this makes logical sense, this should apply, this is objectively better. And then I install it or something similar on my keyboard, a key combination or a different style of activating something, and I hate it, and it's slow, and it doesn't click with me. And it doesn't matter how, you know, objectively better something is if you don't use it well. You know, if you're not paying attention to you, the product that is producing this output, and say, this product doesn't work very well, you know, this process doesn't work very well with this. So, you know, apply what can be applied, apply what improvements can be applied, and discard what must be discarded. So generally though, speed is king. And that is what's really cool about the OpenSCAD shorthand is, yeah, very good. The OpenSCAD shorthand is I've been improving it, and I've been making a bunch of stuff, and I get excited about making more stuff when I'm done. Like, I finish it and I print it and I'm like, this is so cool, I'm ready to start another thing. Whereas before, without that OpenSCAD shorthand, I was just like, ugh, what a slog. Like, it's finally over. And that's not a good place to be for your, oh right, I suppose I should actually turn it off. That's not a good place to be for your creativity, or your creative cycle. You don't want to be sitting there going, oh boy, here I go, diving into this annoying tool again. It's just, and that's an intangible thing too about the process, is how you feel about it, how inspired you are by that process, whether or not you actually have a, you know, you feel any type of affinity toward what you're doing. You know, there's boring processes, and you can do stuff to make those processes much less boring. There's repetitive processes, and you can do stuff to make those processes less repetitive, but the end goal, the output, is always kind of the same. The process is still the process, the input is still the input, and the output is still the exact same. It's what happens in the middle that gets that can be more interesting, or at least you know, fit your style a bit better or something. I don't know. My style is get it done as fast as possible and then do something else. Focus on something different. Take a break, you know, mentally unwind. It's just, Tedium is not, Tedium, Mumbling Tedium. There's a word game I like to play that I've only recently discovered. It's called Spoonerisms. You've probably heard them because they're automatic in my brain at this point, where you swap the first syllables of two words. And I can't say tedium without thinking of tumbling medium. It's when you polish brass for reloading ammo, you run it through tumbling medium, which is usually, you know, imagine a whole bunch of pencil erasers rubbing all over something to kind of polish it. Oh dear. Lord Jesus, help these people. Everyone's okay. Right, so it becomes a polishing process, and the pencil erasers in this analogy is called the medium, and the medium that's rubbing against the brass is polishing it. So that medium is called tumbling medium, because when you polish it, it goes through a tumbler process, basically, that rolls the medium over. So tumbling medium becomes mumbling tedium, which is just fantastic. It's the best to just find those things. This is what preoccupies my mind. This is what's important. This is why you wear a ball cap when you're driving, because you can't just stare directly into the sun. I mean, you can, it's just not recommended. Mumbling tedium. Right, the tediums, right? So imagine if moving the you know, imagine a typing game to teach you to touch type. You know, where there's zombies, typing of the dead, I think. Like zombies attacking you, and you type the words in order to shoot them. And imagine if you had something like that for moving numbers around in Excel for 10 years. You know, there's opportunities there. I don't know what they are, but they're certainly interesting. Oh, that's kind of weird. Alright. I gotta ship a keyboard. There's probably gonna be a line. I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. So I hope this was helpful, and check out my my Patreon, Super Patreon account. Now 12 minutes of me thanking the patrons from my Patreon. somedumbguy279 at youtube.org. Thanks. somedumbguy2999753 at google.org. I didn't even know there was a Google. That's pretty impressive.